The XTHL, the XTech Hockey League, it's here, boys. Welcome to episode number 1 of your Shanghai Dragons NHL 20 franchise mode. Woo! That's right, the NHL is no longer. The XTech Hockey League is here. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, well, let me fill you in. So what I decided to do, I've mentioned it a few times before, I have removed every single National Hockey League team and replaced them with 31 custom created teams. Oh boy, let's get into this. In addition to the 31 created teams, there is going to be 31 85 high franchise overall players. And yes, as you can see in the top left, we are in a fantasy draft situation. So 31 high franchise players and the rest are all gone. There's no McDavid, no Kucherov, no Sidney Crosby, no Elias Pettersson, no Quinn Hughes, none of that. Every team is gone. I shipped them off to Europe. They're going in the SHL or something. They're gone. They are no longer in the National Hockey League. It's time for the XTech Hockey League, the XTHL, and we are here with the Shanghai Dragons. Now, there's a few other little surprises and little quirks and things in the franchise mode that we'll come to see in the upcoming episodes, but we're going to get familiar with every single team. I tried to spread it out as best I could. We're going to go through every team and every single roster, all that good stuff. I'm super excited to get into this. Honestly, the preparation that went into this was a little bit ridiculous. I thought I bit off more than I can chew, but I decided, well, I'm already like 70% there. Why quit now? So I went ahead and made 31 custom teams. Now, some of them don't make sense, like the Stockholm Swamp Rabbits. I just needed to use the Swamp Rabbits logo. The logo is too cool. I don't know if they have swamps in Stockholm or rabbits for that matter. If you're from Stockholm, let me know. But the Stockholm Swamp Rabbits, what a name. Now, obviously, Shanghai is located in China, and you guys know I love to have myself a good old rivalry. We had a rivalry with our Quebec franchise mode, obviously with Montreal, with our Seattle franchise mode with Vancouver and a few other teams, and our rival is going to be the Tokyo Ice Tigers. Tokyo and Shanghai, two pretty awesome cities, one in China, one in Japan, but I went ahead and I made sure there's going to be 3 divisions that are in North America and 1 division that's in Europe, whether that's Japan, Russia, China, Moscow, wherever, right? So we got 1 division that's going to be not North American and 1 that's going to be over there in Europe. We got Prague. We got a lot of fun teams to get into. Now, you're probably wondering, who are the created players? Well, there are 31 custom players. Most of them are former franchise legends. You're going to see Ty Ronning make a return. You're going to see Cedric Corey. You're going to see Conrad Stastny. There's some OGs in this franchise mode, some that you guys might remember, some of you guys might not. There's also some ones that I threw in there for fun. I threw in like some goalies like Scott Foster and all those cool stories. So without further ado, let's just get into the fantasy draft itself. Now, I'm not going to be biased towards me getting any player, so I'm going to randomize this 3 times. Whether we pick first or whether we pick 31st, it doesn't matter because we are going to be getting an 85 overall high elite player. So it really doesn't matter, just kind of the position. I would prefer if I didn't get a goalie because it's way more fun to wrap a storyline around a forward. So hopefully we don't pick a tendy. And in my test simulations, the goalies generally go from like 23 to 31. So I'm going to try to stay out of the far right as best I can. I'm going to randomize it 3 times, whether we pick 1 or 27, it doesn't matter. So let's go. We're going to randomize this bad boy 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. We pick 14. There you go. Middle of the pack. Kind of. That's what I'm talking about, though. I'm glad I didn't get in the 20s because those are going to be all goalies. But who knows? Maybe we're going to select a goalie here at 14. And like I said, I'm going to let the computer do all of the work. So let's get into the fantasy draft. We're going to go through everyone's pick. And oh my god, you can already see some legends. We got Hiroyuki. We got Biz Nasty. Paul Bissonnette. yet. So I'm basically just going to let the computer pick our first selection, and then I'm going to go from 1 until 31 and review the players. We're going to get familiar with them. We're going to see who Tokyo picks, because that's going to be our main rival. So let's hopefully get a good player. It could be anyone. At number 14, we got Felix Pox, the stinkiest man in the National Hockey League, is coming to Shanghai. All right, Felix Pox. Oh, this is beautiful. All right, so before we get into the legends, I want to talk about some of these players. You might be thinking, whoa, wait, Henrik Borgstrom, he's in the NHL. Noah Juleson, he's in the NHL. Victor Soderstrom, he's a pretty good prospect. What the hell? Well, I couldn't get rid of all the American Hockey League teams. The game wouldn't let me cancel out the AHL, so there's still going to be American Hockey League talent out there, and that's going to be awesome if you decide to pick a guy like Eli Tolvanen or whoever else is in the minors, like Henrik Borgstrom or Philip Zadina for that matter. So there is still going to be some talent in the NHL. It's just going to be much more spread out. You're going to see a lot of like 60 overalls in the actual NHL, so it's going to be interesting the first couple of years. We're going to have to rebuild the entire league from the ground up. So let's go. The first overall pick went to the Vermont Devils, and they pick Nasty Nas. All right, the Quebec Nordiques legend himself. He goes number 1. Now, every time I've simulated this in my test sims, every first overall pick is different, so I guess it doesn't really matter because everyone's 85 overall high franchise, and it is worth noting that everyone has a 3-year contract, so after the 3 years, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's go through them. Nasty Nas goes to the Vermont Devils. Argon Bust, all right, you guys might remember him. He goes to Stockholm. So Stockholm Swamp Rabbits, they go ahead and they select Argon Bust. There you go. And then Slava Zakhanov, the Seattle Storm Bear legend, he goes to Houston. The Berlin Puck Wizards. Low key, I was kind of hoping that we would go with Berlin. I decided to go with Shanghai, but Berlin was a very close number 2. Their jersey and logo combo are super, super cool. A lot of these teams have really unique jerseys and really unique logos. We're going to go through them all. Like I said, it took forever to make 31 custom teams with their custom mascots and custom jerseys. It took a long time. But Bo Alfredson, he goes to Berlin, number 4. Joe Gattenby, he goes to Helsinki. All right, Helsinki gets a good one. The Helsinki Hellcats. Finland, all right, have fun in Finland, Joe Gattenby. Vancouver Canucks GM mode legend. And the Wit Dog, Ryan Whitney, that's right. Shout out Spittin' Chicklets, big fan. I had to throw Biz and Wit in here. And of course, they were both former National Hockey League players. He goes to the Newfoundland Ice Dogs. If you listen to the podcast, you know Wit doesn't like the cold. So good luck. Enjoy the 8 months of snow you get in Newfoundland. There you go, Wit. He's going to the Newfoundland Ice Dogs. And then Boris Yakupov goes to the Oklahoma City Bandits. Now, Oklahoma City is another one of those teams that has a really cool jersey combination with their logo. Their logo's super, super dope. Conrad, he goes to the Anchorage Armada. Now, I gotta give a shout out to my man Richard Clay. He'd ended up designing this team, the Anchorage Armada. I was supposed to actually have 32 teams in this franchise mode, but you can't do a fantasy draft with 32 teams, which is really frustrating. So the Portland Ice Pirates had to be kicked out, unfortunately. But shout out to Richard on Twitter for hooking up the Anchorage Armada. We got a team in Alaska, and Conrad is going way up north. He's going to Alaska. There you go. Now, Haley Wickenheiser goes to New Mexico. That's right. We got ourselves a female. Haley Wickenheiser, arguably the greatest female hockey player of all time. I had to put her in the game. I had to do it. Haley Wickenheiser's up with the big club. She is going to be the face of the New Mexico Warriors. All right. Talk about growing the game. New Mexico not only gets a hockey team, but they get Haley Wickenheiser as well. Gordy Iserman goes to the Montana Moonmen. All right. So you can see I wanted to make a lot of these team names fun. I wanted to make them really cool and interesting, and their logo and jersey combination is pretty dope as well. But Gordy Iserman, the Detroit Red Wings legend, he goes to Montana. Valerie Chubby Chubasov, he goes to the Halifax Huskies. All right, there you go. Chubbs, you all know and love him. And then Biz Nasty ends up going to the Mississauga Elephants. Again, another very cool team name. He is a high franchise grinder grinder, so I'm interested to see how he's going to grow. Hiroyuki, he goes to the Miami Unicorns. Probably the, I don't know how to say this, the most out there jersey logo combination. It's very like, think Grand Theft Auto Vice City, like very Miami, very bright, lots of colors. That's kind of my inspiration for the Miami Unicorns. Hiroyuki, the Japanese sensation, he ends up going to Miami. There's still a chance that one of the Japanese guys could go to the Tokyo team, because there is obviously a few more Japanese guys hidden in here, but Felix Pox, all right, we get the stinkiest player in the National Hockey League. Oh boy, Felix Pox, all right, baby. It's your redemption time. It's time for the redemption tour. We'll get more into Felix Pox in a little while. But the Milkman, he goes to the New Orleans Vipers. Another very cool logo jersey combo. Vince Ryder. If you know who Vince Ryder is, you've been around the channel for a long time. He's a big enforcer. There you go. And oh my God, this is just perfect. Agent C and Felix Pox are going to be rivals once again. It happened in our Seattle franchise mode. It happened in our Detroit franchise mode. They're always going head to head. This time it's going to be reversed. Usually we have Agent C going up against Felix Pox, but now it's reversed. All right. You can't write these things. They just write themselves. A Cinderella story. Shanghai and Tokyo. Agent C versus Felix Pox. All right, baby. Let's go. We got Trevor Tkachuk. The better Tkachuk, absolutely. He ends up going to the Nevada Bulls. Shout out Trevor Tkachuk, Seattle Storm Bear legend. Sugimoto, he goes to the Moscow Vodka Kings. What a name, I know. Shout out to the assistant GMs for helping me put that one together. But the Moscow Vodka Kings, they get a legend in their own right. Sugimoto, there you go. Saskatchewan Stag legend. Speaking of Saskatchewan Stag legends, Iguchi, he goes to the Atlanta Spartans. So these guys couldn't be further away. Former teammates, one's in Russia, one's in Atlanta, complete opposite places on the planet. But Iguchi, you guys all know and love him. Jaden Marco goes to the Seattle Storm Bears, where he was originally drafted. Okay, that's awesome. I love this. The storylines are already writing themselves. We ended up drafting Jaden Marco late into our franchise mode with Seattle. He was medium franchise out of the draft. He was a stud. Unfortunately, we ended the franchise mode kind of before you guys could see how good he was, kind of like with Rhino Nitamaki and our Quebec franchise mode. So Jaden Marco goes back to Seattle. That's awesome. Oscar Gormley goes to Prague, the Prague Knights. Another really cool jersey logo combo. You guys all know Oscar Gormley, the 90-goal man. Austin Pope, he goes to the Yukon Icemen. Austin Pope, I believe, was in our Seattle franchise mode. He was a big grinder that turned out to be like 87 overall, but he was only listed as like a third liner, but he was awesome for us. Now this one is interesting, all right? The Utah Mustangs, they get an interesting player. No, it's not Mario Lemieux. No. If you know who Mufasa Lemieux is, you already know this guy. I'm not going to mention it too much in this video. If you want to do your own Googling and you want to figure out who Mufasa Lemieux is, he's kind of a cult legend on EliteProspects.com. I had to throw him in here. He's like a 5'7", 260-pound enforcer. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Anyways, he goes to Utah. Ty freaking Ronning, baby. He goes to the San Francisco Stingray. I don't need to say anything more about this guy. A man who does not need an introduction. Ty freaking Ronning. There you go. And then here comes some goalies. Fukafuji. You guys all know and love this guy. This guy was actually the first Japanese-born player to ever play in the NHL. Ended up playing a few games with the Los Angeles Kings. Obviously a goalie. He goes to Norway, so the Norway Ninjas. And then the Quebec City Cyclones. Okay, another very cool logo jersey combo. I feel like I've said that a million times, but I'm not really super artistic, but I actually spent a lot of time on all the jerseys, on all of the logos. They all look really, really cool in my opinion. Now, Scott Foster, he was the emergency backup goalie that ended up coming in the Chicago and Winnipeg game, I think 2 years ago now, and he didn't allow a goal. I think he robbed like Brian Little point blank. Anyways, he's an absolute legend. legend. I had to throw him in there for a goalie. Big Mac, don't call him a sandwich. Big Mac McKenzie, Franklin Mac, he's back in the mix. He's going to Saskatchewan, obviously. Seattle Storm Bear GOAT. Jim Zavagetti, he goes to Red Deer, the Red Deer Ice Hawks. So there's where all the goalies are going, late 20s. That didn't change. Joe Fleshler, okay, another OG, if you know who Joe Fleshler is. Actually was on the channel. He made a quick little intro for one of my videos, but Joe Fleshler, absolute legend. He goes to the San Diego Chickens. Now you can't see the chicken logo, but behind him, that chicken is pooping out a hockey puck. So fun fact of the day. Big Germ, he goes to New York. All right, Big Germ in the Big Apple. There you go. The big 6'8" goalie goes to the New York Narwhals. So that's going to conclude round number 1. Now it's not over because you can see there is still some studs out there. Bowen Byram, Casey Middlestat, Eli Tolvanen, Timothy Liljegren. There's still some young studs in the NHL here. There's still a few out there. I'm not sure what's going on. We end up picking Klim Kostin, 2nd overall. Okay. All right. So we're loading up on forwards here. You can see here we ended up picking Klim Kostin. He usually grows in franchise mode, so I'm pretty happy about that pick right there. Moritz Seider, however, doesn't usually grow. But here's just everyone else. Sheshurkin, there's a really good one. He grows like crazy. He gets really, really good. Jesse Puljujarvi, Nick Merkley, Daniel Sprong. So you can see the talent is still there. It's just not what the real NHL is. So I'm going to go the first 3 picks. And then, we get Julius Honka. Okay, so it could be worse. We get our first defenseman, Thomas Vanek. He's still out there. Things you love to see. Ryan Suzuki, Samuel Poulin, Jordan Schmaltz, Philip Broberg, Keith Kincaid. We don't have a goalie, so it might be smart to pick a Tendy really quick here. I wouldn't mind that at all. Just seeing if there's any more storylines to go on here. New York goes for Nikolai Goldobin. All right, so you kind of get the gist of what we're doing. We've removed every team. Most of all the players are all gone. I know a lot of people say this is the new look NHL in the real life, but this is really the new look NHL. We've completely revamped it. Welcome to the XTech Hockey League. Fantasy draft is now complete. I'm interested to see who we took here. Any goalies? I see Eddie Lack. All right, my boy Eddie. I ended up hanging out with Eddie Lack at the NHL 16 event, I think. Or was it NHL 17? I forget. But good guy Eddie Lack. We got Cole Lind, Roland McEwen, Carl Alsner. All right. Any other names I recognize here? I'm sure there's a few. I'm just not seeing them off the top here. Carl Alsner, that's one. Jackson Harkins, I think, is another one. That Kakinen is a pretty decent goalie prospect. But you can see 111th overall, we got Raphael Lavoie. He's a pretty good prospect for the Edmonton Oilers. Brendan Peary. Cole Lind's a good prospect. Good Canuck boy. Riley Stillman. All right, so there's definitely some work to do here. But our first pick, our first legend is Felix Pox. Oh boy, am I ever excited for this. We got Hell versus Drag. Alright, so some of these team abbreviations, I didn't quite think it through because that looks weird, but here we go. Shanghai, baby. We're here in China. I gotta work on my Chinese. Once again, we are bringing the Bible back. Shout out to my man Trevor for putting it all together. He's gonna keep track of basically everything. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of work to do with this first episode here. So again, it's going to be in the description of this video. Shout out to my man Trevor, absolute legend. You guys know the Bible from the previous franchise mode. We're going to be keeping track of basically everything, but I guess we can just start by looking at our team. What are we working with? Now, don't be shocked at the low overalls, okay? So you're going to see a lot of guys like 69, nice overall, and they're going to be NHLers. Most teams are going to have like 60 overalls on their National Hockey League team. Now, Now, lucky for us, we basically have a top 6 of all over 70 overalls, which is nice, except for this guy who I have no idea who he is, a former 5th rounder from the Winnipeg Jets, CJ. All right. But Klim Kostin, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not going to mess with the first line because that does give it a +3, but Felix Pox, John Sebastian Day, he played for Pittsburgh a little while ago, but you can see things are kind of messed up because a 76 overall should not be listed as a second line forward, but it is. Now that's going to bring up another conversation. Like, look at this, 79 overall listed as a first liner. These guys are going to ask for a boatload of money. Now, don't be shocked if I pay, $5 million for a 76 overall defenseman, because that's what we're going to have to do. Speaking of defense, let's have a look at it. It's actually not that bad. Hey, Carl Alzner, Julius Honka, Christian Jaros, Roland McEwen, who's young enough, I guess, 23. He was once a pretty good prospect, but I guess that was a few years ago. 6 years since he's been drafted, hasn't quite made it yet. Riley Stillman, 21 years old. That's a nice young guy to have. Again, only 65 overall. And between the pipes, we got my man Eddie Lack and Capo Kakinen, who's kind of in the same boat. He's 6 years since being drafted, 23 years old. I have seen him grow. It's not all the time, but it does happen. Here's our scratches. I'm sure we can fit those guys into the lineup. But as for our American Hockey League team, is there anyone we should bring up? Is there anyone that could probably make the team? Okay, so these guys for sure. Igor Korshkov, I have no idea who this guy is, but he's way too good for the American Hockey League. He's definitely coming up. Same with Nolan Stevens. Probably the same with this guy as well. 35 years old. You're getting your shot at the NHL, TJ. As for goalies, we're not doing any work there down in the American Hockey League for tendies. We're going to leave that be. Defense, nothing is going to happen there. So I'm definitely going to have to bring up some players from our American Hockey League team. But that's basically how we're looking year number 1. Now, what does the free agent crop look like? That's what I'm interested in. Let's have a look. So there's definitely some good, I say good, and I'm talking about like Chris Terry and UC Jokinen, but for this franchise mode, these guys are pretty damn good. Now, what I could do is I could probably sign all of them and win the cup in year number 1, but what's the fun in that? I don't really want to do that. We're probably going to sign a few players, maybe 1 or 2. Probably going to leave most of these guys for the other teams. Like, why wouldn't a guy like Jonas Hiller get picked up in the fantasy draft? That seems weird. There is a lot of franchise goalies, though, so that's probably a reason why. Let's have a look at our rivals, for example, or just a random team. The Anchorage Armada. So they're looking pretty good, actually. Offensively, they got Conrad, obviously, and former teammate in Quebec, Jesse Puljujarvi. There you go. Their defense looks okay, maybe a little bit better than ours. And who do they have in the cage? So most teams are going to have like a 70 overall goalie, maybe an 80, or if you took a franchise guy, or if you're Seattle, you get a nice young goalie like Alex Nedeljkovic. You go ahead and pick him in the draft. That's smart. But even guys like Akil Thomas, who are 19 years old, they're going to get a shot in the NHL right away, which is pretty awesome. So Ilya Kovalchuk, I guess he was in free agency and he was now selected. So there you go. In Nevada, they get Trevor Tkachuk and Ilya Kovalchuk. Not bad. A couple of Chucks going out there. Now, since I was using custom rosters, I didn't update to the newest roster update. Kind of felt like I didn't have to because we were removing like 95% of the National Hockey League talent, so I never updated. So I guess that's why Kovalchuk was in free agency, even though he should have been on Montreal and now the Washington Capitals. But there you go. Kovalchuk with Trevor Tkachuk. Have a look at our rivals here and the Tokyo Ice Tigers. So Agent C and Kaylor Yamamoto. All right, there you go. Jake Lecision, first line center. Things you'll love to see. Adam Ruzicka. Most of these guys are really young. Albin here has no business being in the National Hockey League, but since this is the XTech Hockey League, he is a bona fide fourth liner at 56 overall. Defensively, they're actually not that bad. Dylan Hetherington, Noah Juleson. As for goalies, there you go. They don't have a starting goalie. Hunter Jones, and then some Finnish guy who I've never heard of. So that's just basically the gist of like a random team. There's going to be a lot of work to do. It's going to be a lot of work to repopulate the National Hockey League. Even guys like Sven Berchi, I forgot about a guy like him. So Sven Berchi, it's actually funny, they got two Berchis. I don't know if that's pronounced Berchi or Berchai, I'm not sure, but that's kind of funny. Gordy Eiserman and Sven Berchi, Kiefer Bellows, so you kind of get the gist of how most teams are looking like. As the franchise mode progresses, you're obviously going to be seeing more and more players come up through the NHL. There's a few players around, maybe hidden in the draft, a couple of them. You'll be seeing some nice drafted players here. I went ahead and I updated a few players, like I made Quinton Byfield a little bit better, I made Alexis Lafreniere a little bit better, I made Alexander Holtz, Lucas Raymond a little bit better, so there's a lot of players like that, and obviously players in the upcoming draft as well. You're going to get very familiar with most of those players in a few years. Now I know if I don't show you guys, I'll get a million comments. Here is what our jerseys actually look like. I know a lot of you guys are going to want to know. Now don't be too harsh with me, I'm not a super great designer, but those are the jerseys, those are the controls, that's not what I want. Those are the jerseys, that is our home, this is our away. I kept it pretty easy, pretty calm with that, but our alternate jerseys, whew, oh my god, have a look at those things. Yeah, we'll get more into that after. Have a look at Helsinki's jerseys, just for fun. There's their home and their away, pretty cool. So as you can see, like things are going to take a lot of time to get used to. We're going to get familiar with a lot of different names. Let's have a look at Prague, just for fun here. Our first preseason game, and Felix Pox has 2 goals, things you love to see. I didn't change too many things up, so basically all of the rules are going to be the exact same. The sliders are going to be the exact same. We're basically going to keep most things the exact same from previous franchise modes, but look at those jerseys. Shout out to the Prague Knights, looking good. Those are nice. What's their away jersey like? So yeah, pretty easy. Nothing super crazy. I didn't want to get too insane with the jerseys and all the logos and stuff like that, but here's what our division is looking like. Obviously, this is going to be the European division, so Shanghai, Norway, Stockholm, Prague, Helsinki, Berlin, Tokyo, and Moscow. That's right, so there you go. Just for fun, actually, let's get the preseason done just to see how these 85 overall players are going to produce. You're going to be seeing a lot of goals scored, which is interesting, and right away we actually get a trade offer, a 4th and a 5th for a 4th and Riley Stillman. I'm just going to say no, I don't want to make any trades right now. Klim Kostin, 5 points in his first 2 games. All right, things you love to see. Obviously the preseason doesn't matter, so we're not going to be keeping track of anything, even though we just lost 2-0 to our rival. I basically just want to see stats in the preseason. Big numbers guy here, but I will show you guys the Berlin Puck Wizards. This is one of my favorite jerseys in the entire game. I just think the color combination looks so cool, like the turquoise teal with the orange. I think it looks so sick. I really like that logo as well. Shout out to the Berlin Puck Wizards. Alright, so as the preseason commences, we are 3-1. Obviously, none of that matters. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what teams are good and what teams are bad, because most of them have basically a level playing field. Norway was 6-1 in the preseason. Anchorage and Halifax both went undefeated in regulation, so there you go, take that for what it is, but those were your 2 best teams. Which team was the worst, just so I can kind of compare? Montana went 1-5, so did New York and Red Deer. Interesting. Klim Kostin led the way with 9 points in 7 games. Felix Pox had 7 and 7. There you go, things you love to see. We have Eddie Lack between the pipes, which I think is just hilarious. And of course, Bo Alfredson, go away. I didn't specifically make him better than anyone else. I made basically everyone similar. I mean, some players, if they're a grinder, they're going to have a higher defensive stat or so on and so forth. Or if they're a sniper, they're going to have higher offensive stats. You guys obviously know the drill. But I didn't make Bo Alfredson particularly better. He's basically level playing field with any other center sniper. So it's just coincidence, I guess, that he's a freak of nature once again. Just like he was in our Quebec franchise mode. I don't know why he's so good, but he's continuing just to be the best hockey player to ever live, apparently. Klim Kostin, Ryan Whitney. So the few players here. Kevin Connaughton Haley Wickenheiser, what's up? Conrad Stasny over there in Anchorage. Taro Sujimoto, you guys know and love him. Vinny Hinola, so there's, who's this guy? Joe Snively, who the hell are you? 69 overall, playing like a 99 overall, 8 points in 4 games. Alright, so you guys get the gist of it. Felix Pox right there, having a look at goalies. None of this really matters, but here's all the goalies for the preseason. There you go. So that's it. That's episode number 1 of your Shanghai Dragons franchise mode. I'm really excited to bring this to you guys. I think it's something that's super unique. It's never been done before. I guess we should actually look at our captains before we end off this video, and you guys can let me know who we should give the A to and who we should obviously give the C to. Do we give it to Felix Pox right away? Felix Pox, Klim Kostin, and Julius Honka have letters right now, so I guess the 3 best players on our team, arguably. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. We're not going to get too much done in this video. It's probably where we're going to end it off. I guess we should meet our head coach as well. Who is our head coach? Let's have a look here. Meyer. All right, he's an offensive coach. Rylan Meyer. Looks very similar to a few of our other head coaches. I don't know, is that a mask you're wearing? Rylan Meyer, all right, so 2 years left, the salary doesn't matter. His teaching specialty is forwards, so teaching specialty will help and grow forwards on your team, blah, 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 blah. There you go, we all know that. Team fit's only 68%. It's pretty, I mean, considering none of our players aside from Felix Pox are really anything to write home about. I get it, 68%, I feel ya. Terry Yip is our associate coach. And then we got Georgie here, who's our assistant coach. There you go. Now, unfortunately, I can't bring these players up because we are having some cap issues. The only thing that's holding me back is these moves will put your team under the salary cap. Our team salary is $54 million. We have $22 million to work with. So maybe what we'll have to do is go ahead and give like UC Jokinen like a $10 million contract or something just for 1 more year. It's really going to help us out, but we have our first inaugural game against the Stags. All right, I think we got to get game number 1 done. We got to see who's going to score our first goal, right? At the Dragon's Den against the Saskatchewan Stags. Let's go. I got to see who's going to score the first goal. I have to see it. So let's go, the inaugural game at the Dragon's Den. Hockey is alive and well in Shanghai. Who's going to score the first goal for your Shanghai Dragons? Let's go. I'm going to call it. It's going to be Brendan Peary, all right? Period number 1. And we didn't score a goal in the first. Boo Nevins scores on Eddie Lack, and they get 1 right before the first period ends. Even though we outshot them, still looking for our first goal ever. Period number 2. Okay, we got 2, and it's Klim Kostin. He scores the first goal in franchise history. Get that puck, put that one in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Felix Pox gets another one, and then Daniel Carr scores on Eddie Lack. So there you go, Felix Pox. He ties up the hockey game. Looking for win number 1 in game number 1. We are out shooting him. Felix Pox has 2. Does he have a game 1 hat trick in him? Power play? The stinkiest man in the world. Can we get one here before overtime? All right, maybe we'll go into a shootout. Maybe if we go to a shootout, I'll intervene. Maybe show off some sick jerseys. All right, let's go. Headed off to a shootout. Looks like they got Justin Williams there. All right, Justin Williams hanging out in Saskatchewan. All right, here we go. Excuse me, I don't know basically anyone yet. I know that was Justin Williams, but a big poke check there from Eddie Lack. Here comes Felix Pox. He's got 2 goals in the game. That one's not going to count towards the hat trick, but he's got a mullet, and he puts that one 5-hole. Again, I don't know who any of these players are. It's going to take us a long time to figure out who's who and who's on what team. Brendan Peary gets denied. Again, I don't know who they have in net. Remy Ely, I know who this guy is. He comes through, and a big toe save by Eddie Lack, and that's it. That's the first game the first W. Put it in the books, baby. Felix Pox and Klim Kostin getting the job done. Same with Brandon Peary, actually. 2 apples. That's awesome. There you go. 1-0. What's going to really help out not only me, but you guys as well, keeping track of what teams have what players, so on and so forth, is going to be the giant spreadsheet in the description below. It might not be updated right away. I'm going to try to get the video to him a little bit early so he can obviously update it. But once it is updated, I'll put it in there, and you're going to be learning just as much as I am. There's going to be so much information to take in, but here we are. Hockey is alive and well in Shanghai. We got some goals. We got some things to do in this franchise mode. Are we going to be contenders year one? Are we going to be a lottery team? Who knows? Every team is basically on an even playing field. In the next video, we're going to get some simulation done and kind of see what our team is, what we're made of, if we're going to be anything, or if we're going to go towards the bottom and head towards the draft, work our way through the draft. If you think I should do anything in free agency, let me know. If you're new to my franchise modes, you should know that they are very much fan orientated, so we're going to be going over comments. If you don't usually leave a comment, maybe leave one because you might get featured in the next video. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in episode number 2 of your Shanghai Dragons franchise mode.